Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Capitalist Corner. I am your host, Mark Pellegrino, and also the chairman of the American Capitalist Party, along with my co-host and vice chair, Michael Liebowitz, who is also the host of his own show, The Rational Egoists. Any new news with The Rational Egoists over the weekend, Michael? I know you've been incapacitated. Your mouth has been incapacitated for the last few days.
It's not great, but I think I'll survive. Yeah, I got a great new episode out all about redemption. A guy who did some time in prison, 13 years. He's out now. He's a motivational speaker and a mentor. I thought it was a great interview. I recommend everybody to check it out. Lee, I am doing, I'm okay.
You're doing great.
All this is kind of uncomfortable. And I got some hypochondriasis going on with me, and Mark didn't help it before we came on by what he told me. So we're going to see how everything plays out.
I'm always just trying to make you feel cozy and at home, my friend. Yeah, you guys gotta watch The Rational Egoist if you haven't tuned into it now. I do believe it's an IQ boosting show, one of the few shows out there that will boost your IQ. Your Own Brook being another. If you guys are interested in a podcast that I think gives really great detailed analysis of the news from an objectivist perspective. I also have to have our little disclaimer that we are not representing necessarily the views of the Capitalist Party, even though both of us are capitalists and both are the leaders of the American Capitalist Party. We are representing our own opinions here, and we will take note when our opinions are in alignment with the American Capitalist Party's perspective, which you can see on the AmericanCapitalistParty.org. Go to AmericanCapitalistParty.org and donate, become a part of the change, folks. Everybody is sick of the duopoly out there. I know you all who are watching and listening right now are just like us, and nothing in the world right now should change your opinion, except us, because we have alternatives to what's going on in the real world. Mark's boring. I'm glad Mike's back too. Allie, you're doing so much to make me your friend. I just want you to know that.
The people have spoken.
One person has spoken. Okay, so here comes the fun. Yeah, now we're going to try to keep the ball busting to a minimum today because this is a heavy news day. A lot of stuff is going on. We got MAGA ignoring the Epstein files, trying to distract from the Epstein files by throwing off investigations in other directions, and we got some sketchy stuff going on in the world today that we got to talk about. So Trump, you sent me a tweet today that I thought that was interesting.
I sent you a bunch of tweets.
You saw me a bunch of tweets, but I'm going from one.
No, I want to make sure you've seen them all. That you've not just.
I have seen them all.
Okay.
I've seen them all. And I want to just sort of go in order of the tweets because I think they're interesting. This one is from Republicans Against Trump, which I didn't actually see who sent that tweet. So now I am following them, and I'm going to try to send them Capitalist Party material because maybe they are some people who could be turned for us and against the mercantilist economic policies of Trump. We're going to deal with that in a minute. What we're going to deal with now is Trump's slippery sliding away from all these issues and trying to mislead the American public into others. So Trump doesn't want Americans talking about his refusal to release the Epstein files. This is a quote from Trump. Democrats, all they know how to do is talk and think about conspiracy theories and nonsense. This is funny coming from the Republicans who are like the primary conspiracy theorists throughout the COVID debacle. And even now endorsing conspiracy theories around January 6th and continuing to endorse conspiracy theories about what was that? Was that your stomach?
No, that's one of these assholes. When these guys get on their motorbikes or their stupid ass cars and they're like 60 and they're like, it's like, dude, grow up. Get the hell out of here.
The motorbike is loud for a reason, my friend.
I don't care. It's like, dude,
you gotta know it's loud for a reason.
Dude, you're going home and you're taking your old people medication. You don't need to be in my front yard revving.
But he needs to be heard by the other vehicles. That's why he has loud pipes on his bike. I used to be a biker, so I know. Anyway, not a biker, not a 1%er, but I used to ride a motorcycle. You need to be loud.
Was this before or after you were in the hairband and before or after you were in No Holds Barred?
This was after. No, this was after, just around the time that I was in the hairband. So So it wasn't a hair band. Nobody in the band had the long hair except for me. They were all Catholic schoolboys, and me included. So Trump doesn't want everybody talking about conspiracies, even though that's all the Trump administration likes to talk about. What do you think about this, man?
Well, I think that they are the king of the conspiracies, but what has happened is, it's coming back to bite them in the ass because it's time to show up. The problem is the people believe the conspiracy, so now they don't believe there's no conspiracy, and Trump's normal tactics of it's a hoax, it's Democrats, move on to Obama, just aren't working with some people. But, I want to just tell you something. I wanted to share something with you about the conspiratorial mind and how it works and what it accepts as proof. So I'm looking at Facebook today, and there's a post from somebody, and they posted, I think I sent you the tweet. They posted a copy of it where Dan Bongino is saying how he's absolutely shocked at the things he's seeing behind closed doors and this and this and that. She posts that, this woman, and she says, and some of you still don't believe in conspiracy theories. And I'm thinking, what? So because Dan Bongino says he's seeing things, the same guy who promoted Epstein for who knows how long, the Epstein list, and now says there's nothing to see here because he now is saying there's stuff that he's not sharing, but it's there in secret. That's evidence, but that unfortunately is the problem.
Evidence, I might add, against the political enemies of Trump in from 2016 to 2020 and onward. So all of the things the FBI seems to be investigating have to do with Trump's enemies in 2016. He seems to be going through an enemies list like Nixon and just attacking those guys. And talk about weaponizing the intelligence community. He seems to be weaponizing the intelligence community for all of his personal causes and vendettas. And don't you think this adds to the conspiracy thoughts, though, when there's talk of giving, what's her name, Giselle Maxine, the female who was part of Jeffrey Epstein's schemes? What was her name?
Giselle Maxwell?
Giselle Maxwell. Yeah. When there's talk about giving her a pardon, and when there's talk about letting her out early, when there's talk about secret meetings between her and people from the Department of Justice that aren't so secret because drones are capturing her returning to prison after these secret meetings, and she has boxes of stuff. I mean, that lends itself to the idea that maybe Trump is maybe Elon Musk wasn't lying, or wasn't just trying to bust Trump's balls when he said he's in the Epstein files. Don't you think it's lending credence to these conspiracy theories?
I think that anything that they do, to be honest, is going to lend credence to the conspiracy theories because conspiracy theorists see conspiracies no matter what, and everything is evidence. But now we have this suspicious fact of talking about this particular conspiracy and now denying it exists. So if he's going to talk to Maxwell, it's part of the conspiracy. If he refuses to talk to Maxwell, it's part of the conspiracy. If they shut up about it, why aren't they talking about it? If they're talking about it, why do they keep talking but not doing anything? So barring the release of a non-existent client list, they're going to be promoting the conspiracy. You know what? They dug this hole for themselves.
Indeed. And now they're trying to pass it off to Obama, which apparently Jake Tapper was able to nail a MAGA senator for attempting to place the blame for the Jeffrey Epstein deal, I guess sweetheart deal, squarely in the Obama administration's lap when it was really during the Bush administration with a Bush appointee.
Who now works for Trump.
Yeah. So the drama continues, folks, and this is not going to end. I think Trump is going to continue to attempt to deflect this issue with other issues out there. Have you two discussed the election fraud stuff with some of the people who promote it, like Andy Bernstein and Jeffrey Tucker? No. Jeffrey Tucker promotes this. I like Jeffrey Tucker as an intellectual.
Jeffrey Tucker has become very, what's the word I'm looking for? Apt to push the conspiracy narratives. I'm not sure that he ever actually pushed the election fraud narrative. Maybe he did. I was in prison at the time, so I didn't get to see everybody that was pushing it. But I don't know that we promote Jeffrey Tucker. I promoted an article that he wrote that I thought was very helpful to me. and Mark has said he likes some of his works. Because you like somebody's work or some of the work they've done doesn't mean that you promote them in its entirety. I didn't know Andy Bernstein promoted election fraud. If I did, I'd certainly argue with him about it. I disagree with him about Trump, and I disagree with him about the right. He knows that. He's still a friend of mine. I mean, I'm not going to not be friends with the guy because he votes for Trump. By and large, philosophically, I agree with Andy. His writings on capitalism and Western civilization, I think, are wonderful. That doesn't mean it's an endorsement of everything he's ever said and done.
Yeah, indeed, folks. Andy writes some great stuff on capitalism, but there are a number of objectivists out there who sort of bought into Trump, including Peikoff for a while, until he took back his endorsement. And I guess his thinking was, Trump won't. He's just saying this. It's just performative. Everything he's doing and saying is for a stage. It's political theater. He's not really this bad. And now, of course, even Peikoff has learned that, well, Trump is that bad. And I'm hoping other objectivists get on that bandwagon. Have you seen any trends in objectivism lately? I mean, your own tends to be me the best voice of objectivism and politics out there. And he tends to be liberal and very, very anti-MAGA.
I don't see any trends. Some of the folks, what's the word I'm looking for, are upset about the whole Epstein situation from what I can see. But the people that buy into Trump hook, line, and sinker, I don't see them moving because they're not interested in evidence.
Yeah, and what do you think motivates them? I mean, we've talked about that a lot.
I don't know.
Really, because I think they're driven by some of the same things the left are driven by. Emotionally, resentment, right?
Sure, for sure.
Rage. They feel marginalized, set aside, abused, oppressed. Right. And they're getting back right now. It seems like the quote unquote winners are spiking the football in the end zone. The right has been so long culturally marginalized that now that they're starting to take over the narrative, they don't care about the consequences anymore. They don't really care about the long term effects of Trump on the party. What they care about is that they're culture warriors right now, battling the left for dominance, more or less. And speaking of this,
but let me just say that Ian Gilmore, I anticipate within the next couple of weeks doing an episode of The Rational Egoist where Andy and I will discuss our differences over Trump and right and left. I think that's going to be coming up in a couple of weeks. I'm hoping it's looking pretty good.
Well, that'll be great. Speaking of politicization, there was a great article in Reason magazine about subsidies. And the Trump administration, of course, came off initially as the deregulation anti-subsidy group. But it turns out that they seem to only be taking away subsidies from left-wing progressive causes and letting subsidies to their own particular constituencies remain, which means it's not really cutting spending that much. So they attack NPR, they attack PBS, right? They take away their funding, which amounted to something in the neighborhood of $9 billion. But they leave several $100 billion of funding to agriculture and steel and various other industries in the United States. And claiming with the claim, the mercantilist claim, I think I might add, that will build up domestic business and make us wealthier. What do you think of those claims?
Do I think of the claims that
you think those subsidies actually help Americans thrive? Do you think?
Oh, hell no. I mean, look, they can help some. You know what I mean? Like
getting the subsidies.
Yeah, the people that get the subsidies and maybe they're subpar producers or whatever, they'll certainly, I think, be doing better than if they don't get the subsidies. But in the short term, you're taking somebody else's money or driving up the debt in order to do it. Those things aren't good. And in the long term, that's not good for the economy because it stifles innovation. It stifles productivity. You end up rewarding.
Huh? Why for anybody out there who's not really familiar with the capitalist process, what does taking $181 billion a year out of the productive economy do?
Well, you're taking money away from the people that earned it, and the people that earn money are generally the people who know how to earn it. So their investments are going to be better than what the government is going to choose to do with it. Plus, if companies come to expect subsidies, then, why would they raise their own capital when they can just go to the government for it? Plus, when taxation goes up, that's a disincentive. And if you drive up the debt, ultimately, you're either going to have to raise taxes or inflate the currency to pay it off, which also is not good.
Right. It's Bastiat's seen and unseen issue again, right? With these subsidies, you see something being produced in the marketplace, but what you don't see is all the businesses and innovation that could have been created if that capital were allowed to remain in the private sector. So Trump is no capitalist, folks, and this is the official position of the American Capitalist Party. Trump is no capitalist. He's a nationalist protectionist, which will redound against the American population, I think. If he wants the American people to thrive, he could do a couple of things. He could massively deregulate, and he's only deregulating in a few fields that I think connect with his constituencies. He could end all subsidies, corporate subsidies. Now, would you do that slowly, Michael? Now, this isn't an American Capitalist Party position. We're just talking our own particular perspective here. Would you have to wean corporations? Would you have to wean agriculture slowly off of subsidies the way you'd have to wean the American public off of?
I don't know. My inclination would be probably to say yes, but I don't know. And ultimately, I would look to an expert on deregulation, somebody that's on our side and understands how it works and how to do it. And then I would see, what do they say? I'm not, I don't know what the most efficient way to do it is. I know the moral thing is to cut it out, and I know long term for economic growth, it's good to cut it out. But the particulars of it, we need to get somebody else in on this to tell us what to do.
Yeah, so deregulation, cutting corporate, literally eliminating corporate subsidies. I think also eliminating corporate income tax, and also zeroing out tariffs, which Trump is attempting to do with other countries with respect to us, which he's done with he's trying to get. I think he's gotten about 5 countries on board.
Yeah, he wants other countries to stop taxing their citizens, but he wants to keep taxing ours.
People don't look at it that way, though. People
because they don't understand what's happening, and that's the problem.
I think a larger number of people are, since I think a majority of the citizens tend to be against tariffs. So I think people are starting to get enlightened in that respect. Oh God, what is this? But
I'm just trying to include the audience. The audience makes comments, and it's good to keep them involved. So I post. Sometimes I take what they say and I post it up here.
Lee, I am busy actually trying to lead the conversation while Michael is not paying attention to a word I say.
How am I not paying attention? I know everything you said.
He's reading the conversations that are going on.
I can do 2 things at once. After the debacle I saw here on Friday, you should be grateful that I can do it.
You can't do 2 things at once. This is a delusion.
I can.
How much do you think in corporate subsidies Elon Musk has received for his energy? For energy?
Oh God, 100 billion probably. If I had to guess. No, not 100 billion. Probably, I don't know, billion, couple billion. What? I don't know.
For his Tesla Model X, he received 465 million from the Department of Energy alone.
Say that again. How much?
465 million for the Department of Energy. However, over a total of subsidies is $11.4 billion, which I think he's good for. Right? He's worth something like in the neighborhood of $120 billion. I think he could pay back that loan with some interest. And that might actually redound to Trump's liking, right? Since he's no longer in favor of the Trump administration, I think Trump would actually be amenable to getting that loan payment repaid.
Yeah, I'm sure he would.
Just another one of the ironies of the Trump administration. Yeah, so speaking of trade deals and zero-sum games that Trump likes to play, there was an article. Hold on, I'm trying to pull it up now, but I have to do this thing with the epic every time. I know. Hey, Jack Nicholson said, "Never let them see the cracks." I believe the opposite. Let them see all the cracks. Oh, that's not the article that I wanted.
Was that his advice to plumbers or what?
What? No, it was never let him see the cracks. It was his, I guess,
Was
his
he?
advice
Was
to
he talking
actors
to
who-
plumbers?
Yeah, no, he wasn't. It's funny, but it's sort of funny. But no, he wasn't. He was talking to actors and people in general. Never let him see the cracks.
Was he?
Uh,
Was he talking to actors or people in general?
People in general.
So
And
where did the actors come into this?
well, look, because he's an actor giving advice, so you can take it as a particular from the actor's perspective and from the human perspective that he's giving general advice as well. Never let him see the cracks, right? Unfortunately, I don't believe in that. Unfortunately for me, I believe in letting the cracks show. Now, here's what I wanted. I wanted the
Allie has some advice, like Jack gave advice. Allie evidently feels she needs to give you some advice.
You're incentivizing bad behavior online.
Who's behavior? How is it bad behavior?
You sent me an article in Psychology Today about decency.
Yes.
Right. And here you are promoting indecency and rudeness.
How is that indecent or rude? How is it indecent or rude? It was advice, solid advice.
What you're trying to do is draw me out into an argument right now, which I find to be indecent and rude.
Nobody wants you to argue.
Yes, you do.
No, we just want you to get to the story, but have a laugh while we're at it. We can do
We are having a laugh. You're the comic relief.
I'm trying to be.
Trump trade deals prove access to the U.S. still matters above all else. So this is an article from Axios, and Trump has apparently just made a deal with the 27 member states of the European Union. Has just apparently struck a deal, 15% tariffs across the board to the European Union, while zeroing out tariffs and major investments in the United States. This zero-sum game. I mean, the Axios article makes the point that, well, these people are stumbling over themselves because America has the economic leverage. Thank God we do, but will we maintain this leverage for long with one-way deals like this and with massive government interference and nationalism in the marketplace? I don't know that we can.
Well, here's the thing I always find interesting with this. Why, if America is getting screwed and has been for decades and decades by every other country, if America's crippled and falling apart, as Trump said, then why is America in such a strong negotiating position due to our thriving markets?
Indeed. Well, it's the only thing propping up the dollar is the promise of American productivity. Otherwise, we probably would have collapsed a while ago.
Yeah, the vestiges of capitalism are keeping us going, but it's such a contradiction. Yeah, we're doing terrible. Everything's horrible. You better negotiate with us or you're not going to get to our markets, and we'll be fine without you, but you won't be fine without us. Seems to say that America's got thriving markets.
Indeed, and that the trade deficits aren't a big deal at all. In fact, they probably don't matter at all, and we should keep them up because the American public benefits from another country being able to do something better than us, or more efficiently than us, and then we can concentrate that capital in areas that matter. It's disturbing news. Well, it's good news, but what I find interesting is Trump said from the very beginning, we're going to get these massive trade deals. He's made deals with 200 countries, but only 5 have come through so far. And now we have the European Union coming through. This is a small fraction of 200 nation states that we deal with. What do you think of this nonsense? It's just more Trump hyperbole. It's like the title of this guy's biography should be Hyperbole.
I think his biography should be called "I'm an Asshole," but whatever.
That's
his biographer, or not his biographer, the guy that ghost wrote Art of the Deal for him, said that Trump wakes up exaggerating. And it's true. I mean, Trump has this phrase, truthful hyperbole. Like, what do you mean truthful hyperbole? It's absolutely absurd. It baffles me that we're even in this position, to be perfectly honest with you.
Really?
Yeah, it does. I mean, no matter
an age
how
of irrationalism and emotion,
I'm still always surprised. Whatever. I understand. I probably shouldn't be,
because it just gets more ridiculous. Like
we have a big like to watch or deficit too, folks. That you got to hit the like button.
Yeah, folks, hit the like or subscribe button. Definitely share this on YouTube and other platforms so that the algorithm likes us, because we want liberty to be not only national but international. We want everybody in the world to get this message that capitalism is actually a good thing. It's actually the most benevolent system.
I have so much pressure, like right here and all through here right now from the teeth. It's really distracting.
You want me to relieve you of that pressure?
What kind of weirdo proposition is that? No,
I can relieve you of that pressure instantly.
Yeah, I bet. No, let's not. No, let's move to something
But
else.
you're
We're not
3,000
partners.
miles away. So
we are not partners.
That's not the pressure that I'm talking about. Jeez,
I don't know what you're talking about, but you're pushing an agenda.
Okay. Yes. So you also sent me something from the Free Press that was very good about the misinformation that's going around on Gaza. Now, it's not so coincidentally had just seen this picture.
This is primarily for you because you're far more informed about this issue than I am. So I thought perhaps you could do a good job of explaining it. So contrary to what may look like on the show, I have the utmost respect for Mark's intellect and for Mark's ability to explain things. So I sent him an article where I'm woefully underinformed on the issue, and so he can explain it to us.
Well, yeah, but you'd think that you just the simple context of the photo itself, which is part of it's cropped out, but you see the photo that made the rounds, folks, was a photo of a child that's emaciated, wearing a pair of plastic diapers in a mother's arms, and it was the subheading for the photo was to highlight the starvation crisis that's going on in Gaza. This while tons and tons and tons of food material and aid are going into Gaza every single day. Now, if you look at the picture, which is cropped, by the way, you see a mother who seems perfectly healthy, holding a child who is emaciated and clearly in a state of advanced disease. What's cropped out of it is also the child's brother, who is also perfectly healthy. It turns out this child has a wasting syndrome, a muscular disease, and several other genetic disorders that has left him in this terrible condition. But the Hamas propaganda machine out there, which includes lots of gullible people all over the world, who just pick up pictures and then pass those on as if they are true without sourcing them, without checking them. This adds to the tremendous amount of misinformation that's out there, and adds to all the moral confusion around this issue. Now, the Hamas is fighting a war with a particular strategy in mind. They know that they cannot beat Israel militarily. They have one weapon, and that's the Palestinian people and their suffering. And the weapon is the demoralization of the Israeli people. And using photographs like this and others that have been photoshopped from Syrian refugees who are starving to death, and then they photoshop them into Palestinian places to make them look like they're starving Palestinians. It's all a part of a campaign on the part of Hamas to wage a moral war against Israel and to defeat them morally. And many nations are falling into it, not the least of which France, with Macron now announcing that they are going to recognize the Palestinian state. When they see people like Macron, major players on the international stage, falling for their propaganda, it encourages more of the same. It encourages them to not negotiate. So when Trump comes back and says Hamas is the problem here, they're the ones who are not actually sitting down and negotiating with us in good faith. Now he says, look, they understand they can't give the hostages up. When they do, it's over for them. He's saying something simplistic but true. But it seems like Hamas has understood something over the past 75 years. This type of exchange forced a ceasefire by making the Palestinians suffer and then showing that suffering on the world stage. It's a formula that works for them, and they're going to continue to abuse it. The solution is something too awful for people to consider, which is something that ironically Trump has said, which is gloves off, finish Hamas, which will look ugly to everybody on the international stage. So that's my feelings about this, that there's a host of Malaysian bots that are out there. There's a host of pro-Pali bots that are bought off by Palestine. You have people like Jackson Hinkle who are bought off by these powers and getting money from them. And
he just looks like a dick.
He does, doesn't he?
Yeah, he looks like a total dick.
An arrogant little dick. Prick.
You know, the only thing I think, Mark, that you said that I would disagree with, and it's only slightly, is where you say that their weapon is the Palestinian people. I think that their weapon is the virtue of the Israelis. Because what they do
that's
is
a better way of formulating it.
Is they appeal to the goodness of other people. Like they don't give a damn if they see Hamas doesn't give a damn about kids starving or kids dying, but they know decent people do. So I don't want to see children getting killed. I don't want to see children suffering, dying. I don't want to see adults suffering and dying who are innocent. And Hamas uses that as the weapon. And it's a tough spot because you don't want to become like Hamas, but at the same time, you can't just allow them to use that stuff to prevent you from winning the war. This is why it becomes very difficult when you are on the good side and you're fighting evil. It becomes a very difficult prospect. It reminds me of like the superheroes, you know, whether it be Superman, Batman, or whatever, and they go after the evil guy, and the evil guy hides amongst civilians. If you come and get me, you'll kill all these people. And the superhero refuses to do it. He has to figure out another way. And it's really a tough spot. But I think that is the main weapon of these folks.
You're right. That's a great way of formulating it. It's the same weapon that the bureaucrats use against the American people, by the way, to guilt them into funding welfare state, to guilt them into subsidizing corporations at home. They use the American investment in virtue in order to weaponize it for them.
You don't have to read this, Mark, but I think that Manu may have just provided the most hilarious post I've ever seen in the comments.
Yes. Oh, that's very good. Yes, I agree with you, Manu. He is... What? He said he's the biggest dick of the planet. That's what she said.
You didn't read the whole thing?
No, maybe I didn't.
Oh, God.
Should I read it out loud?
Yeah.
To be honest, to call Jackson Hinkle a dick is an insult to every dick on the planet. Yes. They provide pleasure. Hinkle provides distress.
You said, I agree 100%, Manu.
Yeah. Oh, okay. With the dick then. You got that's a Freudian thing for you more than it is for me.
I'm not the one who said it.
I just read the first part of the sentence.
So, well, that tells you keep context. I heard a joke one time, right? This guy goes to his psychotherapist, and the psychotherapist gives him a Rorschach test, right? So he shows him the first picture. He says, "What is this?" And he says, "Well, you know, that's two lovers. They're having sex." The next picture he shows him, he says, "Oh, that's sex. It's a one-night stand." The next one he shows him, he says, "Oh, you know, that's two adult gay men having sex." So the psychiatrist says, "Okay, I think we have your diagnosis. You're obviously, you know, you have a fixation on sex." And the guy says, "I have a fixation on sex. You're the one showing all the dirty pictures."
That's pretty good.
All right, let's move on now.
This next thing from the Free Press might lead into something that's been a controversy in Hollywood with the.
You froze. Oh no, what happened? Uh-oh. Well, we have a frozen Mark Pellegrino, people. Perhaps he is upset about his agreement with Manu's comment. I don't really know. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to fix this. Maybe if I remove him and put him back, it'll fix it. Let's see. Mark! Well, we are in desperate need of Mark. I don't know what story he was going to talk about. Yes, we get next, so let me just go and see. Is Mark frozen for everybody? That's all I want to know. Okay, yes, evidently he is. So I will scroll through the articles that I sent him and we can discuss. He is now completely gone. He is no longer frozen. He is off the screen. Let's see if our views go way down now that the great Mark Pellegrino is gone. See how many people stick around just for me. Okay, so let's talk about this here. Lindsey Graham was confronted with a montage of his own comments from 2017. Now, in this montage, Lindsey Graham said that the only person who no longer thinks that Russia interfered in the hold on, Megan. The only person who believes Russia interfered in the 2016, who doesn't believe it, is Donald Trump. That's what Lindsey Graham said back then. But now, of course, there's a different tune. Tulsi Gabbard's pushing bullshit. So Lindsey is changing his tune. And, I got to say, I don't know how these people live with themselves unless they are just straight up sociopaths. Because there's got to be some kind of shame button or some type of guilt button. How can I be so hypocritical? How can I just kiss another man's ass this way? I just don't get it. I wish Mark was here to comment, or even Jim Valiant, but it's absolutely absurd that these human beings do this. And it's so widespread amongst politicians, they will just lie and say anything to avoid getting on the Donald's bad side. So Megan Ribbons, the wonderful Megan, says, where do we find Pellegrino discussions on psychology? That will be toward the end of August. We're going to be doing our show. We're going to discuss psychology and philosophy. I think it's going to be an absolute great show. And we're even going to use, if I can give the spoiler alert, Mark's character Lucifer as sort of the example of his psychology, of what he could have done different, of what he could have done better, of what's driving him. I've even begun now watching reruns of Supernatural so I can learn more about, Mark's character. And hopefully, obviously Mark played the character, so he has some special insights. And I don't appreciate this, folks. We've lost 8 viewers since Mark left. That is not nice. Let me just tell you that right off the bat. But, Megan, I do have a good article here. I just have to find it that does touch on the issue of psychology. Where can it be? It's got to be in here. Is that one? Oh, right here. It talks about decency and the lack thereof. It's the small word that holds a big country together. Subtle acts of decency. And, Mark and I joke and whatnot, but I think that being decent to people and just being kind to people, your pleases, your thank yous, not at launching ad hominem attacks or just baseless insults at people. I think it's a good way to go. And I think that now, granted, I was in prison, for a very long time, and I don't know what was happening in mainstream society, but mainstream society, when I go out, to be honest, seems to be pretty much the same. People are pretty nice. People are decent. But this social media thing seems that decency has gone out the window. When people can hide behind their keyboards, they get to, for instance, I guess maybe be who they really are. Some people say no, it's who they really are is who they are in person. But I'm inclined to think that the real them comes out on the internet. It's similar to, in vino veritas, there's truth in wine. When people, they get drunk, they become inhibited or uninhibited rather. And I think that the same thing happens here, online, that people can hide behind the safety of their computers. I think I've mentioned this before. In prison, they have what they call cell gangsters. It's people who act very, very tough when they are behind closed doors, but are not that way when they are out. I got an email, but it's not from Mark. Okay, let me text Mark here, and we'll see if we can get him back. But if not, I will have to hold down the fort. So let's see if we can take a question or two. Lee says, being honest, I first joined because of Mark, but now I'm so emotionally attached to Mike Liebowitz. I have to be here all the time. They're both sweetie pies, my favorites. Oh, well, thank you very, very, very much. Let me scroll up and see if we got does anybody have any questions that maybe I can address? The viewers didn't leave. Mark's tech troubles are contagious. Mark seems to very frequently have this sort of tech troubles. I think that we need to get some help for Mark. I mean, because I know less about technology than virtually anybody on the planet, and I seem to know more than does Mark. So let's see here. There's another article here that I really wanted Mark for, but we'll throw it out here to the audience. The title of this article, it's from Psychology Today with the heading Social Learning Theory, is why are so many movies basically the same? And what it does, it says, an analysis of 1,700 books found that most follow one of 6 emotional story arcs. So let me see if I can find them. It has them listed. Okay, so it says the 6 story arcs are these. You have the rags to riches, start sad, end happy. The tragedy, start happy, end sad. Man in a hole, start happy, get sad, end happy. The Icarus storyline, start sad, get happy, end sad. Cinderella, start sad, get happy, get sad, end happy. And Mark is giving me a message that his internet died. He's trying to get on here with data. And then the Oedipus, start happy, get sad, get happy, and end sad. I wonder, first of all, has that been your experience? Are the Mark is back? Mark.
Now I'm on my phone on data, so hopefully it won't slow down.
Well, you disappeared, but I can hear you, and that's what we really need, anyways. Although the ladies in the audience probably like to look at you if my experience is.
Wait a minute! Here it comes! Here it comes! After a total reset, it's finally coming online, but I've already switched. So
okay. Well, look, I'm talking about this article about the 6 basic story arcs that are in every story. Did you read this article? Can you hear me?
Okay, the internet keeps going in and out, so I'm not going to press attempting to hit Wi-Fi.
Forget about the internet. Did you hear my question?
No, I did not. Go ahead.
Did you read the article from Psychology Today about the basic 6 story arcs that are in every story?
Yes. I thought that was great.
So the guy makes a good point that, who the hell wants to read a story where everybody's happy from beginning to end, where it's just success. That's not a really good story. That psychologically we, sort of desire these other stories. I wonder though, you're an actor, as you've, tell us every chance you get. You're an actor. Is it that there's just these 6 story arcs, or is it just that they just apply them so broadly that they seem to cover them all? I'm very interested to know your thoughts on this subject.
Well, I mean, I don't think I think Rand is correct when she talks about the nature of art and what it serves in human life. It serves as fuel for our souls. So people need to see, as she would, paraphrasing what she would say, a concretization of values in order to know what to pursue and to feel that pursuing values is possible. So I think these various story arcs, for the most part, communicate that achieving values is possible, right? And I think that's why they have such an effective hold over people. I think that's one of the reasons Supernatural, for example, is so popular and gaining popularity over the last, even after 6 years after the show is over, because it's one of the few heroic TV shows out there where 2 orphan guys, I mean, it's literally the hero's journey from Joseph Campbell. Two orphan guys basically go out and they fight monsters and defeat some of the biggest obstacles in the universe. And it demonstrates courage and strength and loyalty and virtues that we all hope to have, right? And so I think that is uplifting and enlightening and makes you bigger than you were before you started watching it. So yeah, I mean, I think we need these heroic stories like fuel, like we need food, like we need water.
So Megan Ribbons was asking about the psychology show that we're going to be doing, and I used that as filler. It was great because I needed something to talk about while your internet wasn't working. So I mentioned that's going to be coming out probably toward the end of August, and I mentioned that we're going to be using, at first, anyways, your character Lucifer. And I've, as sort of, his character, his decision making, his psychology. But I watched a couple episodes of Supernatural the other night, and I might have watched one episode in the past, but I thought it was an interesting show. These guys are taking on everybody; they're fighting everybody. But one thing I will say, and this is a little off topic about the character arcs, but I noticed this, and I thought about this. So I used to watch the show Once Upon a Time. Did you ever hear of it?
Yeah.
I love the show, but it demonstrates the importance of causality and rationality, right? Like a person literally could not function living in a world full of magic. You just couldn't do it because you'd have no way to know how things are going to behave. The episode, or one of the episodes I watched, The Supernatural, was one of the ways you can tell demons is the blackened eyes of the what they call the meat suit. The human that the demon has possessed now has blackened eyes. But what happened was all these people came to fight demons to this town, and they were all people. But there was this other guy played by your buddy, Titus Welliver, who was able to put like a curse on them so that they would see the other as demons. So everybody, they didn't actually have black eyes, but that's what they were seeing. And I was just thinking it'd be impossible to function. How could you ever differentiate what's real from what's fiction, or who's good from bad in such an environment?
You wouldn't be able to, but somehow the heroes of those stories manage to. They manage to sort out that somebody's doing bad juju on them, and they figure out a way around it. So, in the end, even in a universe that's completely unpredictable and irrational as a supernatural world is, it's still the rational elements of human consciousness that enable them to defeat the bad guys, right? I mean, Sam is sort of he's the rational guy of the group. He's the
wasn't he the drug addict or the addict? He was addicted to demon's blood or something.
What? I don't
Yeah.
know. Oh yeah, there might have been a storyline like that at some point. I don't remember. But
what's the other guy? Sam and Dean. Yeah, Sam. Yeah, he's not trusting himself, and Dean's not trusting him because he had some sort of addiction to demon's blood or some such thing. But I'm going way far afield with that. But one interesting thing I did learn is that your human that you played, Nick, had to invite the devil in, and he did so.
Wait, I only heard part of that. That he had to invite the devil in what?
He had to invite the devil in. The devil couldn't occupy his body, and he actually invited him in.
The devil in season 5 is Supernatural is sort of a cool character because he doesn't lie. So he presents himself first in the form of the man's wife, who was viciously murdered by somebody, right?
That's what I saw.
He basically tells the truth to the guy. You know, the guy in season 5 comes off as a pious dude who did all the right things, made all the right moves, and still suffered these terrible, horrible consequences. And
like
so
Job.
like Job, but instead of Job, he turns his back on God and says, "Screw it, I hate you forever." And all Lucifer does is make the case. He said, "Look, you do all these great things, and look what happened to you." It's the same, I identify with you, and all you have to do is say yes, and you'll get a little payback. And it's all true. And so that's what makes Nick say yes. Later on, you discover that Nick is a little bit more complicated character than that. I think the later storytellers sort of lost the arc of Nick in the beginning, or maybe thought it was too milquetoast for a guy to be just a good dude a good guy who suffered horribly and as a result turned his back on God. They made him a lot more complicated character.
See, I actually prefer the Lucifer that tells the truth. Like that's an interesting story because in the Bible, now it isn't. Let me get some people probably upset. It isn't actually Lucifer in the Garden of Eden, right? The Jews never saw the serpent in that way. It was later Christians that said it was. But whether it be Lucifer or just the serpent in the garden, the serpent actually tells the truth, whereas God lies. God tells them, if you eat that fruit, you're going to die. The serpent tells them, no, you won't. They ate the fruit, and they ate the fruit and didn't die. So Lucifer was actually the truth.
Well, no, God was telling. Well, not to stick up for God, but God was telling the truth, and it was a certain sentence would be passed upon them. That is death.
He did. He says, "You will die." This the punishment that they got.
Did.
Yeah, but they didn't die. Yes, but there was no indication that they would live forever before that. And in this specific punishment that he gives them, Adam has to work by the the sweat of his brow, and Eve is going to suffer.
But do you know how long do you know how long the patriarchs lived? You know how long
hundreds and hundreds of years.
Hundreds and hundreds of years.
But the point is that when he doles out the punishment, he doesn't say you were immortal and now you will die. He told them beforehand, if you eat this, you will die. Not you will die eventually, not death will become a part of your condition, but you will die. Unless God is playing tricky with language,
which is possible. Playing tricky with language. He can do anything he wants.
Well, then you
Chuck
think he
in
would have,
Supernatural
then
shows.
you think he could have prevented the serpent from running around enticing people.
You think he could have, but people had to choose God from free will, so they say.
Does
They
that
had to
mean
choose.
if even angels have free will, does that mean that that Satan can end up changing his mind?
Perhaps. But I
Well,
think
that'd
his
be an
beef.
interesting thing.
But I think his beef is too deep. Do you think God would change his mind? He should, but
He's got free will. He should be able to.
Yes, but he seems to be pretty stuck in his ways.
He is a stubborn son of a you know what. Okay, let's get back. Lilith. Oh, look at this. Ariana Sneath. Lilith, the first woman in Jewish lore to tell a guy to make his own sandwich and be punished for it. Lilith is associated with serpents. Mark, can you tell us a little about Lilith? Do you know about Lilith?
Not really, but only through a little bit of supernatural lore and
I believe, and
what Sneath
Ariana
has
can
said.
correct me if I'm wrong, but Lilith was, according to the Talmud, the first wife of Adam. Okay, can we get to a story here?
So so Lilith was the first wife of Adam?
In the Talmud, yes, not in the Torah.
What happened to Lilith?
Well, I don't know. I don't study. I'm not a Talmudic expert. I know that much. Isn't that enough?
No, because it now opens up all kinds of questions. What happened to Lilith? I'm sure there's
Well,
somebody out there in the supernatural world who knows what happened to Lilith. Was it a messy divorce? It seems like it was messy.
I
That's
don't
what
know.
I
Did
want
they
to know.
have divorces? I don't know. There's no telling with this stuff. I don't know. I mean, we've got some conflicting stories. Some of it's a little erotic going on here. So let's address at least one more story before we have to go.
Okay, go ahead.
You've got the stories.
No, I don't, because I'm on my phone now.
Oh my God. Why do I get stuck with all the winners? Just once, give me a loser. Just once. All right, get out. Here we go. Back over here. How about this Chinese free market city? What did you think about that?
I thought it was amazing.
Well, tell us about that.
Well, a little bit. It's called Yiwu, right? Is that the way you pronounce it?
I haven't got this.
Yiwu.
That's how it's spelled. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it.
So this city, I guess, started out after 1978, after Mao Zedong dies. There were market reforms instituted in China, and this particular city was a trading town where peasants basically decided to exchange with one another, and it became a massive exchange market, basically. One of the freest cities in all of China, where the CCP turned a blind eye to the trading culture that developed there. But as a result of the trading culture, the gross domestic product and the earning ability of each citizen in that particular city went up exponentially from something like 251 a year to all the way up to what, 68 or 80,000
Yeah, it was
yuan a
sick.
year.
Yeah.
It was an exponential rise in human thriving that even outpaced the rest of China, where the average, of course, rose from dire poverty up to about 53 or 54,000 won a year. These guys were outpacing even them. And so it was a super entrepreneurial city that grew up spontaneously, sort of the way, capitalists claim these markets handle themselves. It's spontaneous development and capital, and there's no possible way that any one individual or centralized authority can understand how these markets grow. And that's why we like leaving them alone, because we think that millions of people left to their own devices are going to know best how to judge where to put their capital, and that actually has a very beneficial and beneficent influence across all of society. It enriches all people, even though that's not our justification for it. It happens to be a consequence of leaving people alone. And this city is a particular example of that. What did you think of this spontaneous order evolving in this city and becoming a gigantic, not a world hub of trading, not just it started out peasant farmers trying to make their lives better and turned into a world hub of trading?
I think it's anecdotal, but I think it's certainly evidence that free markets work when people are allowed to freely trade with each other, freely produce, freely hire whom they want. you end up with very good results. I think that's great. I want to tell you something. First, I want to ask you, Megan Ribbons wants to know if your appearance where you played the guy in Enemy of the People, if there's video of that anywhere.
Yeah, but the only time they videoed this is just my luck, was when I had lost my voice. Because one of the actors came to a rehearsal sick, and then 3 days later during their and I did two performances, and then they taped one, and then I did another performance or two after that. But the one they happened to tape, my voice completely gave out because of this guy. So I'm really, I can't speak in it. I'm just I heroically went through the entire performance. Yes, I called myself a hero. The whole 2-hour performance with no voice, but it's probably out there somewhere. But I would prefer you to see me do it without voice issues, because it's pretty hard to strain over. It's pretty hard to have the experience of the moment when you're trying to strain just to be understood or talk.
All right. So now there's this proposal in the audience that we do a 24-hour edition of Capitalist Corner. They want us to do it for 24 hours straight. And
Okay.
I will say this, I absolutely would do it, but for that, I need to get paid.
Yeah, for sure. 24 hours, but
I could do it. I mean, I'll
my
do
hour,
it.
my hourly rate is high. I just want
If
people to know.
listen, if we don't even need him because he's going to be more expensive than me.
You guys are probably like Michael for 24 hours better than me.
No, listen, truthfully, if we could raise the money, in the money I promised would go to just promoting the show, I would be up for doing 24 hours straight. I think that would be an amazing, amazing thing.
I'd do it. It has to be after my wife goes back to Paris, though, because I don't think she'd go for me doing the 24-hour Capitalist Corner thing while she's here.
Yes. So yes, I would like to have a Michael 24 hours before Mark. Thank you, Allie. But no, I need Mark. I really do. I can't, when he's gone and I got to talk by myself, I really, really hate it.
People don't understand how difficult it is to extemporaneously speak. People who do it well, it's like watching great acting. You think it's easy, but it's really not.
No,
especially when you're dealing with deep concepts.
Yeah. And you're not getting any feedback. So there's no way to know how it's being experienced. Like if I'm talking and I see your facial expression, if it's something like I'm saying something wrong, now I can react to your expression and divert. Like I can do different things. But when you're just by yourself, what a pain in the ass. But I'm up for this 24-hour thing, but it would have to be for cash. All right, Mark, go ahead and give him the capitalist thought of the day.
Well, look, I think we've seen from Yiwu that spontaneous order is an actual thing, and that when people are left to their own devices, they will try to figure out ways to improve their lives. As the peasants in China in this one-time little village understood and then created a thriving metropolis that became a hub of world trade. Just wanting to improve your life, you improve the world. You make the world a better place. Because we're not islands unto ourselves, folks. And being selfish doesn't just mean you are out to hurt others in order to get good for yourself. This is not a zero-sum world the way Trump looks at the world, where we have win-lose scenarios all the time between people. A capitalist world is a world where everybody wins. You win and you exchange because it's a winning deal with you, not because you have no other choice and you're backed into a corner. So, folks, a capitalist world is a beneficent world. It's a world, I think, that is richer in every respect. So that's the world that we are striving to make concretize. It's a world we're far away from now, but if you like and subscribe to this channel and you also share it on YouTube and on other platforms, perhaps we can get the word out to people that capitalism is good, and let's keep doing it.
We have gained a subscriber during this hour. That's awesome.
Unbelievable. With technical issues and with all the crazy stuff that was going on in the chat and with the attempts to goad me into fighting, we still managed to get a subscriber. That's good.
Allie wants to know when you're going to look at the funny things she sent you.
I'm never, after this, Allie, after this conversation, with you, I am never looking at that thing that you sent me.
All right. That does it.
I'm
See you
kidding. I'll
guys.
look at it. I'll look at it at some point. I don't want to leave Allie on that note. I'll
All
look
right.
at it at some point.
We will see everybody tomorrow.
Peace, guys.
Check out The Rational Egoist. Go to AmericanCapitalistParty.org and check your premises. See you in 23.